do you think?
I liked it.
Why?
I don't know, just felt easy.
It is easy. I agree, that's a good assessment. Welcome back, everyone. As you probably guessed from the title and the thumbnail and the intro, this is the firearm that we are going over here today. A beautiful gun, an iconic gun from the folks over at Walther. Of course, the shape inspires images of James Bond. Also a gun that was popularized by Adolf Hitler himself, oddly enough. But this is the Walther PPK S version, and this is the SD version. So the SD version is the version that has the threaded barrel option on there, which you guys have seen throughout the video so far. Almost all of the shooting I did with this gun for this review has been done with a suppressor on there. We used a couple of them, all 9mm suppressors for anybody wondering. And one thing you want to keep in mind if you're going to suppress this gun, which I think pretty much everyone who buys this gun is buying it for that reason, is that you don't want to use any sort of booster or Nielsen device on your suppressor. You want to use a fixed one because this gun has a fixed barrel, for folks who didn't know that. The barrel is fixed onto the frame. Of course, you can get it out if you have a couple punches and things like that, but it's not meant for that. Fixed barrel, so very, very accurate gun as you would expect. 32 ACP barrel. And of course, the thread adapter is a thread-on piece, if that makes sense. A lot of guns use a similar system. Taurus uses that on a lot of different guns. Sig Sauer uses that on a lot of different guns. But what they do is they have the piece here that threads on if you want it, and then you can also just thread on another piece, another adapter onto the barrel itself if you want that flush fit, sort of the classic PPK-S look of the gun. Fixed barrel, though, is going to give you crazy accuracy. The one thing that's going to hold you back on this gun in terms of accuracy, though, is going to be those sights. They kind of leave a little bit to be desired. That said, again, that's how they've always been, and it is kind of cool in that regard. Additionally, we should note, while we're talking about the top of the pistol itself, is that it does have the waved serrations in there, so that way they, in theory, prevent glare. Again, I've said it many times on my channel, I've never had glare on the top of a pistol in my life, and I've shot in every single possible lighting conditions. It's never happened to me. But anyway, more of the basic details on the gun. It does come with two magazines, one that's going to have the flush fit there on the bottom and one with that pinky extension. Of course, I have relatively large hands, so that one definitely feels good in my hand, but if you were going to concealed carry it, probably that would be the magazine for it. They are 8-round magazines. I should note that Walther makes a gun that looks very, very similar to this, but has a slightly shorter grip. Those take 7-round magazines. They also make a model of this in 380 ACP and 22 long rifle as well, if those are things that you guys are interested in. But I suppose we went over some of the details, but let's get into more details. We'll start out here at the bottom. Again, magazine, there's no magwell or anything like that. This gun was designed in the 1930s. Magwells were not a thing at the time in terms of flared magwells. This one, is all stainless steel. It's made in America, by the way. It's made in Arkansas. The reason for that, the reason it's made in Arkansas, is because of the Gun Control Act, unfortunately. So one of the things in the Gun Control Act in 1968, they said that guns had to be for sporting purposes. And of course, the ATF gets to define, or the Department of Justice, I suppose, gets to define what sporting purposes actually are. But because of that, a lot of the smaller Walthers that were being made in Germany couldn't be imported legally after that into the United States. So Walther set up a facility to make a bunch of different guns here in America, and this, of course, is just one of them. Continuing up on the actual grip itself, we have no serrations there on the front, no serrations there on the rear. The version of this gun that's 7 rounds actually has a checkered backstrap, just for what it's worth. One thing that this gun is a huge improvement over the classic ones, anyway, at least for me, is going to be this beaver tail. It looks a little bit funny compared to the older ones, for sure. Kind of takes away from the aesthetic of it, but I tell you what, in function, it is huge. Definitely prevents hammer bite and prevents slide bite. If you have large hands, XL hands, or anything bigger than that, you are going to be appreciative of it when shooting this gun. If you haven't shot one of the Walthers without that new extended beaver tail, then go ahead and do it, and your hand will be bleeding, and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's what Mike was talking about. So there's that. The gun is designed to be double action, single action, so you guys can see, of course, I just pulled the hammer back. It's in single action mode. One note on the hammer is that the hammer itself actually has a cutout in it, And the reason for that is to allow you to see the sights better when you are actually firing in double action. That's what it's there for. So that is your decocker button there on the side. Of course, to fire, you're going to push it back up. And we should note that the decocker, when you go from the hammer back into the down position, will leave the trigger where it is until you push it forward. So you just have a dead trigger at this point. There's literally no tension on it at all. And then once you hit the decocker, it goes back out into the double action position there. So that is the manual of arms of the gun. One thing that's a little bit different on it than a lot of modern guns is going to be the last round bolt hold open, or the last round slide hold open, if you will. So as you guys can see there, it does stay open on the last round, which certainly is nice. However, there is no slide release button or slide lock button on the firearm itself. So in order to reload it, basically you're just going to put your magazine back in, run your slide, and you are back in action. Go ahead and decock and put in double action to be able to carry it safely. That is how it's designed. It's not designed to be carried in single action only, although if you want to live a little bit on the edge, I'm okay with that. Your decision, I wouldn't recommend it. The magazine release, as you may have noticed there when I was manipulating it, is high up. So again, compared to other pistols that were designed during this time, a lot of them had the actual magazine release right there on the heel of the gun. So this was kind of like new space age ergonomics at the time this gun was out. The high power, there's a few others using it, the 1911 of course, but a lot of them still weren't. So that was definitely an advantage to it. As you guys can see, the magazines do drop free. Now let's talk about this trigger. Just make sure again that it is unloaded. The double action is heavy. So I have a Timney trigger pull gauge that I get my weights on when I'm talking about trigger pull weights here on the channel. It only goes up to 12 pounds though. And I could not get a double action read on this trigger, which tells you it's more than 12 pounds. It is definitely it is a heavy trigger. So you just want to pull through as smoothly as possible. There's not really a lot of stacking to it. It's just a super heavy roll that you just have to pull through, and that's just all there is to it. Continuing on to the single action, however, it's very good. So it comes in right around 4 pounds on my scale, and it's very crisp. There's not a ton of reset to it. Right there. And then you're back on the wall. You can feel the reset, it's not really audible, but the single action is excellent. It's a very easy gun to shoot well, provided that you can master that double action anyway. I'm not going to actually disassemble the gun here on YouTube because I know they have really weird rules about that, but it's very simple to do. I'll roll in some pictures that should make it understandable. So the first thing, of course, you're going to do is make sure that there is no rounds in there, no magazine. You're going to pull the trigger out, lock it on the side. For those of you guys that have ever used a wants to go. But if you guys have ever used a Makarov, you'll know it has a very similar system to it. Of course, the Makarov, honestly, is just a clone of the Walther PP that the Soviets stole and didn't pay a royalty for. Let's just be real, call it what it is. So yeah, you pull your trigger guard down and have it hooked like that, and basically just pull your slide off, and it will come right off, exposing the fixed barrel as well as the recoil spring, which goes over the barrel. Again, that's probably something that's a little bit different for a lot of you guys out there who aren't used to new firearms. And of course, before you do that with this particular model, you have to take the thread insert off. So it's fairly simple to do. I would recommend taking off, of course, the thread protector, and then it has a little Allen wrench there. It's not Allen wrench, excuse me, wrench flats on it that you can unscrew. And you have to do that, of course, because the slide is going to come right over the barrel during disassembly. So that is, I think, the basics of the gun. A few things that we didn't talk about that probably will be interesting to many of you. The actual weight on the gun is right around 24 to 25 ounces. It depends if you have the threaded barrel portion on there or not. So that is similar in terms of weight to a Glock 19. Again, it is an all stainless gun, excuse me. So there's definitely some heft to it. The benefit of that is when you're firing that 32 ACP round, there's virtually no recoil, even with it being a fixed barrel. For those who don't know, fixed barrels typically will have a greater recoil impulse because when compared to like a Browning style barrel, for example, that tilting barrel does take up some of the energy of the recoil. Fixed barrel does not do that. However, with an all stainless steel gun and 32 ACP, there's really almost no recoil at all. That is definitely something that's going to attract people to it. There is zero recoil on that thing. This particular version, I would say, is going to attract people who just want to shoot it suppressed, because one of the benefits of the 32 ACP is that virtually every round made for 32 ACP is going to be subsonic, and with a good suppressor, it is very close to being quote unquote Hollywood quiet. It's quiet. It's not quite as quiet as like a bolt action 22 with subsonic ammo, but it's definitely quieter than most of your 9mm 40, 45 guns that are going to be suppressed for sure, just because small bullet, not a lot of gas, and it's subsonic. So it definitely suppresses very, very well. Let's talk reliability. So just before we get to that, I should note that Walther did send this gun out for review here on the channel. I requested it once I saw that they had dropped the SD version about 6 months ago. I immediately requested one for review. We've had it in since then. But let's talk reliability. So the gun has been 100% reliable in terms of rounds that I actually put into it and fired it. I should also mention all the ammunition for this video came from our friends over at Firearms Depot. The majority of it was either Remington or PMC, just ball stuff. For 32 ACP, I really don't recommend hollow point bullets. That's a video for another day, but just stick with ball. The gun was designed for ball. However, it does have a beautiful feed ramp, and I'm sure it would feed hollow points very well because of the way the magazine actually feeds directly into the barrel. It's a very reliable design, reliable system. But we did fire just those two types of ammo, and it ran 100%. When I first got the gun in, I only had Remington on hand, and for whatever reason, our flat base plate magazine that came with the gun, not this one, the one that came with it, it would not let the rounds feed into the barrel. So what was happening was essentially here on your feed lip, it was just nose diving down. And this one, it doesn't do it. The Followers has an anti-tilt property. For whatever reason, the one that came with it initially, it didn't have that, that feature, if you will. The round would just nose dive in and it wouldn't feed into the barrel. Well, that's not good. The round nose dived in the mag. All right, let's try that. Well, let's try a new mag. It was clearly a magazine issue. Like, it was obvious to the user that it was a magazine issue, especially because, again, this one here, which came with it as well, didn't have that issue. So basically, I contacted customer service at Walther, told them what was going on, and within 2 days, I had this magazine sent out to me, and we were good to go. And we destroyed that other mag because no sense in keeping bad mags on hand. And so with both of these two mags that we have in now, gun's been 100% with about 600 rounds through it. So hard to beat that for, again, a gun that was designed in the 1930s. It's a very cool piece of history, and again, has that James Bond, iconography associated with it, I should say. Price point on this one is definitely going to be a con of the gun. It is not cheap, as you would imagine. An all steel framed American gun, American made gun is not going to be cheap. This one here is coming in south of 1,000 units of measure on YouTube. Of course, we can't say price point anymore. They have taken that ability away from us here on GunTube. But if you find a sale, it could be a little bit less than that. If you see it north of that price, you're probably getting ripped off. So as generally speaking, we're going to find it a little bit below that 1K mark in terms of price point, but it is definitely a high quality gun. It feels quality. When you disassemble it and look at all the pieces, there's no machine marks as you would expect on it, no shatter marks, nothing like that. Everything is clean, very well made. And all in all, I don't have anything bad to say about it in terms of the actual gun itself, outside of, again, the price point is a little bit high and that double action trigger is a little bit heavy. Other than that, man, it really is a cool gun. It is a fun gun. It is a gun that a lot of people like to shoot. One thing I should mention before closing it out is that in 32 ACP, the spring on there is really light. So I have one of these in 380, and to rack the slide on it in 380 is a little bit difficult for some people. Every person I handed this gun to, including multiple women, had zero issues manipulating the slide. And one reason I think is going to be that lighter 32 ACP spring on there. So I think with that, guys, we're going to close the video out there. If you like this video and you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you are subscribed, you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel. Easy way to get around that is to sign up for the email list at the website here on your screen. This will get you put on 2 different email lists. Both come from me. It'll be either the daily deals email that has typically 8 to 10 of the best deals that we find around the internet in it. If the item, whatever the item is, whether it be guns, ammo, optics, suppressors, etc. If it's in the email on a given day, it's the cheapest I know of anywhere on the internet for that item. So that way it saves you guys some money because I've already done the price comparisons for you, and hopefully saves you some time as well. Also, we have an SMS list that you guys can sign up for. That goes out at most once a day, and it has one of 2 things in it. It'll either have a really smoking deal that I know is going to sell out, so that way it gets right to you guys and don't don't have to wait for you guys to open your email inbox, or it has a new video that we just dropped. And once again, getting around the algorithmic censorship that we have here on the internet, and it actually lets you guys know when a new video is up here on the channel. And I think that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.